Lieutenant Colonel Mortensen, and how do we bridge from our aspect of looking at MCOM, and all we do is for the fourth generation, and moving that KM practitioner during the course and moving him into, he now has orders to the operational field. So there's a whole different aspect of taking KM now that we're doing it in a cubicle, and now he's being sent downrange. So we have to bridge that gap with Colonel Mortensen and his training to make sure that there is that the training that continues all the way through. We also got another addition to say, well, what happens when he retires and the people move on? So how do we go back and capture those people at that stage? So we know that in training, there's a few more areas that we have to be able to capture, and it's just going to take time, but it's going to take your feedback and areas that we need to look at and concentrate after going through all these courses.
I'll make it short and sweet. From the AMC's perspective, being in the infancy of the program, we're using a lot of experiential training and a lot of professionals that have been trained in higher education situations on KM, bringing them into the organization and trying to train those individuals that we have designated as KMRs and KMOs to perform some of the duties and some of the responsibilities that they have. We are looking towards Lieutenant Colonel Mortensen as well as for future training events, so that we can take it down to the lower levels of the organization.
Thank you. At Forces Command, we look at everyone as being a KM practitioner of one degree or another. In that regard, I am taking this class with ODU that Mr. Obeck had talked about, and I think you're spot on. I'm glad the Trade Act was able to get that pilot program going. It adds relevance to the program because we've got a high-level institution taught by all PhDs, very alert on the areas of metrics, business, and those areas that will drive efficiencies for those students who graduate. All I'd ask Mr. Obeck is that we all get a CKM out of this 18 months worth of coursework. The program that on the other side, that's the practitioners, and naturally, like everyone else has said, we're leaning on Colonel Mortensen to teach all of our professional cammers, civilians anyway, and also green suiters as far as ForceCom perspective on what they are interested in their learning. As far as the other practitioners within Forces Command headquarters, we have quite frankly taken on the old GIFCOM CAM 101 because we found that if the staff, those 2,400 people within headquarters don't understand CAM or what those conduits are that we're utilizing, then we haven't even done half the job in training our organization. That's all I have. Thanks a lot.
All right, from the floor, questions?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What was that course you said the KM 101?
Mr. Bill Robinson, I think you saw that one too, didn't you, Chuck? They had produced a CAM 101 course. Bill Robinson from GIFCOM, of course, GIFCOM disestablished on the 1st of August, but we've got that. I'll be more than willing to pass it on. I'm sure Bill Robinson has still got that as well.
Okay, we have a question here. Diana.
Sure. I'm Diana Accente. I work for Asymmetric Warfare Group, so we'll probably be in touch soon. I'm the CKO there, and I've just been going for two months, and I've never worked in Army. So one thing that I observed, and it was the type of working setup, which is more in the silos, stovepipes. And at the same time, when I asked one of the sergeant majors there what is that they're looking for in their soldiers, he told me that he's actually looking for a person who will listen and do what is told to do. Well, that was not what I was looking for as an answer, of course, but I realized that I think we're up to a big culture barrier for KM. So if we all have taught those soldiers and even, as I'm as an organization to work and be top down. I'm interested to find out from you, how have you, if you have overcome that anywhere in your endeavors here, how have you identified a way to bring people up and really speak up and try to make them understand that they are knowledge workers, they should create, they should look at things, innovate, and come up and share what they think, how that works?
There's other answers here. One of the things I did at TRADOC was I had what I call brown bag lunches. I wanted to do a wine and cheese, but that was against the regulation. Couldn't get it through the legal hoops. That would have been more fun. But we had brown bag lunches that we had every month or so. In fact, the Deputy Commanding General at the time, he sat through one of those, and that's where we started a dashboard initiative. And it was the idea where the commander was telling his staff, what are the kinds of things I need to know? What are the critical information requirements I need? And therefore, go do good on the dashboard. Now, is the dashboard presentation the best we can have right now within SharePoint? It is not, but we're working on that. So it's a matter of communicating and getting small successes with activities that come to you with a need, and say, I'd like you to look at this process. And then it evolves and even filters down to some of our centers of excellence. And we've done good work in the 3.3 area, 3.5 area for planning, and we helped facilitate the RAC transfer from Fort Monroe to Fort Eustis, which is ongoing, and presented visuals on red, green, amber of how things were going for different moves and all that. So there was a lot of things that were not necessarily in my space initially, but because we worked for the DCG, who's the Chief of Staff, he said, I have this need, and we stepped up to the plate. So it's a matter of exercising the capability and demonstrating successes.
We're going to end up changing the culture after all.
And changing culture, and it is culture adjustment. Everybody, knowledge is to be shared. It's not proprietary to any given activity. It's the Army's knowledge and information, and that's what we got to work at.
It goes
It's
back
tough.
to train and educate.
Also, that's not a major gaming standard answer. That's not the way soldiers are trained. Soldiers are trained to be inquisitive, to provide information, to inject where they think there might be some issues as you're going through the planning process. When it comes to executing, they're expected to execute as directed. However, if things change, they are trained to adjust and adapt. So there is a lot of KM. KM's been in the Army forever. We just put a new name to it because now we're going to want the data. It's not a new thing. You'll find that team building stuff very good.
One of the things that we did is that we showed up down at MCOM when they were at the Kmart, and it was just a huge cubicle farm. And my colleague and I, we'd walk around and we'd just stand outside cubicles and start conversations. And part of that is drawing the people out of their cubicle and start injecting into the conversation, saying, oh, I have something to contribute to that. Don't know who they are, but we would just have these conversations about KM, about sharing, about collaborating, not about what tools, but we just have conversations. And part of it rose up from us sitting around having coffee and talking and people listening to our conversations. So then we said, well, we need to capitalize on this. So we developed also a blog called the KM Cafe, where people can come in and they can talk about anything. Well, what that is it's drawing out, as I said earlier, KM moves at the speed of trust. And trust is the big thing. If they can trust that they can speak their mind, that they can be drawn out and start speaking, then they'll say something. But if they don't find that trust in there, and yes, it's that trust comes from the top down. If you show me, then I will follow along with that. But people also have to feel that that experience is available to them, even within their own cubicle area, within their own office space. And trust is being able to be there, that they can talk with everybody within that area. And then it just kind of filters and it starts growing, and other people hear it as well. So you work at, you find that there may be a barrier up there, but you can come down to a lower level where the practitioners are, and you can start the whole program right there as well.
Well, in Force Command, we're looking at it as like a business plan or a marketing plan. you really have to, culture is one area that needs to be addressed. And the only way to really address that particular area is from the top down. You have to be, as practitioners, we have to be cognizant of all the things we've looked upon up here in this competency model. But if you're looking strictly at cultural change, that's got to be done. You've got to be working on projects like Mr. Obeck said with this dashboard of Command and General. We do the same thing at Forces Command, TMT, other areas, but you have to be able to develop that trust with the commander, because that's the individual who's going to drive that cultural change and require people to share. I recall Joint Warfighter Conference a year ago, where at the time the commanding general there, a Marine. Anyway, General Mattis said that he demands that his headquarters share information. How about that? I hadn't heard that from a general officer before at that time. And then his chief of staff briefed at a workshop that they actually were taking measures to reward people who shared information and negative rewards for those who didn't. So is that really the solution? Well, again, every organization is a little bit different, but that's where you change culture. You have to, as practitioners, we have to work on processes to develop relevance and provide those efficiencies that are noteworthy and can be addressed as either quantitative, hopefully qualitative metrics that we could talk in any cost-benefit analysis, but you really have to find yourself in the office of the commander to be able to drive that cultural change.
Okay, I'd like to take more questions, but again, I'm here for the week, as are most of the folks here, and my staff will be here. I don't know how long Andy or some of the others are going to be here. But a couple of points to take away. Command involvement, command support, command leadership. Money that backs that up, obviously, resources, which we've been able to do because we've had successes. And customers keep coming back for more and want more. And then I think from a governance perspective, we've got to take an enterprise view. It's not just the business processes and things like that. There's got to be an integration of the technology solutions that support those processes. Not focusing on technology, but you've got to integrate it. So governance that goes forward can't be a vertical, this might be vertical 25.1 or 25.2 or whatever. It's got to be a holistic view, and that's something we got to work at, and I'll ask your help to do that. Finally, the next sessions, the follow-on sessions are going to be in Salon E. That's just down the hall, I believe. Down that way, I'm sorry. I'm a Ranger tech today. So Salon E, so we'll have a larger audience, won't be overflow, but again, we'll be here for the day. I invite you to all of these sessions, particularly some of the senior leaders that are going to come in here tomorrow. They've gone to specific lengths to come down here and impart to you their challenges in the knowledge management area, but also tell them how they've leveraged that. As I said, Mr. Mark Lewis, the DCMO to the Army, Mr. Bill Moore, who is the Deputy Commanding General at CASCOM, a couple of professional academics, and then the Executive Director of APQC. Again, thank you for your time. There's information up here. We have a lot of knowledge to share on our SharePoint portal, which you're welcome to get to. And thank you